Hello everybody and welcome back to my playthrough of Final Fantasy I on the Pixel Remaster collection. Picking up where we finished off last time, we rescued Princess Sarah for the King of Concordia, and on doing so he allowed us access across to the rest of the continent by rebuilding the broken bridge. Where we got to before was we were doing some creature hunting for filling out the bestiary, where we should now be on 12. So let's have a quick check through that. So, yep, Garland was the 12th one as the boss for the area, so we've got all of these now so we can proceed onwards into the next area. So there's going to be a town coming up that we can go and visit. And out of nowhere, that's the next enemy that we're looking for in this area. So we've got an ogre here that we need to take out. This will add another name to the bestiary. He's got about 100 health. It'll be one of the toughest enemies we've found so far, but unless he hits the white mage or black mage, we should take him out quite easily. So there's the next city coming up that we can go to, but there's also a small hideaway here we can go to that has Motoya the Witch. After we get these encounters, and there's another encounter here. I don't remember the lizard being this far up here, but we'll take it, so it means I don't have to hunt for it later. Again, this is a fairly reasonable enemy to take on at this point. Nothing's too dangerous unless you keep getting poisoned, which can happen a lot. So yes, up here is Motoya's hideout. Not really anything story related we can do up here, but there are 3 chests in here that we're going to be picking up. So I'm just going to have a quick chat with the sweeping brush, and the off chance any of you want to see what the dialogue interaction is. But otherwise we're going to head into the main room and meet Motoya the Witch. So, at the moment, she basically can't see anything because her crystal eye's been stolen, which is an item that we'll end up having to get for her sometime soon as part of this story. Otherwise, after dealing with her, there's just 3 chests in the room that we're going to go and grab in a second. We're just waiting for her to finish fumbling around. Nothing major in here, it's just some regular items, but we need to collect every chest as part of this playthrough anyway. I'm just going to see if the sweeping brushes have any different dialogue, but I'm pretty sure they all say the same thing. It's just spells that have been cast on all of them to make sure she keeps her room clean. So yeah, an antidote, a potion, and another potion, so that's all we're going to have in here. So now we can head back outside and proceed onwards to the next city. Which, if you can see in the map now, the only real way we can go is east. So I'll be back shortly after this encounter. Back again, the only real way we can go now is south and then east, so we just need to keep heading in the eastward direction. We've done all of the encounters we need for this point. So the amount of encounters I've been doing along this route has really taken a toll, but we're so close to the city now that there's no point in healing up. Here it is, Provoca. We're going to head in shortly. Just want to make a save ready in case anything goes on in here, but the main thing we're going to be doing in here is healing up first, and then there's a little mini fight type thing we've got to do in here to scare away all of the pirates that are holding, I assume, the villagers hostage. They're complaining about them, so. But that last fight that you missed did have one of my characters, the black mage again, which seems to be always the one that's failing, get knocked out, so we're just going to bring him back. So now that we're all resurrected, let's head over to the inn, and we can get completely healed up, and then take on the fight that we need to do. So as you go to each new city, the amount of gil it will cost for the inn will go up. So this time it was 50 compared to 30 in Concordia. This will keep increasing exponentially, but then the amount of money you get for each of the creatures that you fight in the respective areas goes up, so it's never really a problem. So this is BK here, the captain of the pirates. Speaking to him, he gets all 9 of his crew members to attack us. So this fight is pretty simple. All we've got to do is just hit them each. There's nothing really special about this fight. They're not that tough, they're not that strong. They don't hit very hard, so it's just going to be spamming attacks and taking them all out bit by bit. It's only really Daewoo that's at risk of falling here just because of the health. But as we go on, they should all get slowly taken down bit by bit. Something to notice, and that I don't think I've explained about the game so far. The order of the party does matter in that the topmost character is the one that will get attacked the most. I believe it's 50%. The second character, so the monk in our case, is the next most likely character to get attacked. And then the bottom two characters are the least likely to get attacked. So we're slowly pushing through this fight bit by bit, taking them out, but as I said earlier, it's not too difficult to do. It's just the case of there's 9 of them, and the white mage and black mage don't really take them out that quickly. But very easy, and you should have no difficulties with the levels that you're going to be at this point in the game. Now, upon completing this fight, BK is going to reward us with a bow, which get a little bit of a cutscene where we deal with the pirates. And there we go, BK has repented his troubles, and he's given us a ship that we can use to sail around the continent and continue with the story that we need to do. So, pressing around the town now, most of the villagers will just say thank you for saving them, clearing out the pirates, something that they much needed. Everybody's just going to recommend different things, and then we'll get some subtle hints as for future locations we go to. A couple of mentions of elves, because as I mentioned before, this game's pretty well based off of early editions of D&D back when it came out, so that's the elves make a big appearance in this game. So next up, we're going to go and stock up on some new magic. So in the White Mage location, you've got 4 new options, so Invis, Null Shock, Silence, and Blinder. The only real one I want here is Blinder, for if we get hit by any darkness casts later on. The rest are all kind of so-so. If you want to pick them up, you can, but there's not really any need for them at the moment. And then the Black Mage shop is going to have 2 spells here that we're going to pick up. These spells being Blizzard, just for any Ice Weak enemies that we encounter, and Temper, because it raises an ally's attack, so something we can cast on the Warrior and the Monk a lot very later on into the game, just to increase their damage output tenfold. Around here is the Weaponsmith. So in here he's just going to have a new selection of weapons. Again, nothing you desperately need, but all that I'll pick up nonetheless, just because I like having all of the weapons. The difference between the broadsword and the battle axe is very minor in terms of damage. The battle axe has 1 more damage, but the broadsword has an extra 5 accuracy, so I'll always go with the better balance as opposed to the most damaging weapon, because, you know, I'd like to hit more of my attacks than miss. It's just another sage explaining about another area in the game that we'll end up visiting later that's currently in a little bit of trouble. And yeah, I've already spoke to these people just thanking me. Down here is the item shop, just in case there's any items you need to restock on. Just standard potions, antidotes and whatnot. But I have spent almost all of my gil, so we're a little bit out there. We'll just have to go and fight some monsters and come back later. There's also the armor smith here, who's got some new equipment I can give all of my characters. The iron armor is good for the warrior, and then the leather gloves can be equipped by both my white mage and black mage. But at the moment we need some money, so I think that's what I'm going to go and do. So anytime I'm going to be doing some off-screen grinding like this, as opposed to any beastry hunting, I'm going to change the boosts on the game to set the XP rate to ×2 and the gil rate to ×4. That just allows me to speed up any of the grinding I'm doing and make sure the playthrough of the game goes through at a good rate. So I will catch you back shortly when this is finished. So I'm back now after doing quite a bit of grinding. We've acquired quite a lot of gil, and I've made sure that all of my characters are level 10, just to allow me to proceed quite well over the next few sections of the game. So just to show off, I'm going to set the XP rate and the gil rate back down, just so that nobody thinks I've kept them up, but you should see that by the XP and the gil I gain per encounter anyway. So based on the status of the team that we've got, we're going to go and heal up quickly, and then we can go and do a little bit more shopping, just to ensure that I've collected everything that I need. So we're going to get the new iron armor for the warrior and the gloves and whatnot for the mages. And hoping the NPCs don't continue to block me around the area, because that can get very annoying this game. As I think that we're up to, yep, if this one stood here, I think we're up to 5 on the count now. I want to see how many we end up on by the end of this game. So as I mentioned, we'll just go to the armor smith because it's the only one we haven't bought things from, and we're going to add the iron armor, the leather shield, and some iron gloves. So something to note about the weight mechanic, which I also don't think I've mentioned at this point in the game. Weight interacts with how many times you can act with each character. So the more weight you have, the less likely your character is to have a go. So it just, without it displaying with like an ATB gauge or a turn issuer, that's roughly how it determines the order that characters are going to go in. So more weight is bad for making you slower, but it's also the way that you get a lot of armor or stronger defensive equipment. So now that we're done out here, we're going to set sail on the boat. The first thing we want to do here is start the game called 15. So we need to hold down the X button and then mash the circle button until eventually it pops up like it does now. So for those of you that don't know, the game of 15, you just need to move blocks one square at a time to get them in order of 1 through 15, bottom to top. So here I am, having almost finished. We're doing the last couple of moves now, so there we go. And that's the game of 15. So you need to do this for an achievement. One is to play it, and then there should be another one to complete it, unless you're playing the Xbox version, I believe. So now that we've done with that minigame, we can proceed onwards with the story, or by story I mean we're going to go and hunt some more creatures for the bestiary. So the first encounter here, we've managed to get 2 of them, which is the Sahagin Chief and the Shark. Not considerably difficult enemies to remove, or to kill, should I say, but they do start to hit very, very hard at this point in the game, and even our 100 damage attacks from the monk don't one-shot them. So, as you can see there, the Shark almost half-killed Daewoo in one shot, but sustained hits from all of us will take them out quite quickly, and probably unsuspectingly, Thunder will be super effective, or however they terminology it in this game, not not like Pokemon. So another encounter here that we're after is the Sahagin. We've already beat the Shark and the Sahagin Chief, so they are about half the health of the Sahagin Chief, so I think it's around 40. So quite easy to deal with, but they will typically come in groups of 3 or 6. Again, as long as everything targets roughly the monk and the warrior, we can get through these fights quite easily. It's when you take multiple hits on your white mage or your black mage that they can fall very, very quickly, and we don't have the revive skill and whatnot on our white mage yet. So this is another one of the enemies we're looking at, Bigeyes. So this has the ability to, I believe it's stun in this game, or paralyze, where your character will just lose goes over and over until they recover. So if you encounter it, it's probably the first thing you want to take out, and in this situation followed by the Sharks, because the Sahagins won't do too much damage to us. We can cast Thunder here just to try and immediately take out one of the enemies. The Bigeyes is very, very weak. He's only got about 30 HP, so an attack like that should almost always take them out. Split our attacks there, but didn't quite do as much as I wanted, so we're going to take a few hits here, but as long as they don't target Daewoo, we should all be okay. Even the monk's starting to take a little bit of damage now, because obviously we put no armor on him, so he's not as equipped out as the warrior is, but the armor we put on him would only raise his defense a minimal amount currently, so we're gonna be like this for a while until the monk really gains some levels. Then he'll skyrocket to being the best on the team. So we're going to continue hunting here, just to see if there's any more enemies we can get. So we found the last encounter that I need here. Sorry, I skipped quite a bit there, which is the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers are a good thing to try and find in this area because they give you a lot of gil for a successful fight. And again, they're relatively easy. They're slightly tougher than the pirates we previously fought in the last town, but nothing too difficult here. So it should just be the case of cleaning these all up. And then we should get a good gil reward after if we want to go and do any shopping. So yeah, that town is the best place to regen because again the inn's cheaper, 30 similar to before. Just proceeding onwards and down south now. So this is the next location that we're going to. There's an elf town down here. And lo and behold, we get a fun surprise. They all look a bit like Link. I think a nice homage to when this game came out and one of the main series games that was around then, Link, the Legend of Zelda games. So there's another set of Black Mage spells, this time tier 3 spells that we can pick up here. So we're going to grab Fyra and Thundara because those are more powerful versions of Fire and Thunder, but they also multi-hit, so they hit everything that's on the field as opposed to just one specific target. There's also a White Mage shop up here, but there's 3 gravestones, and the key one here has its own little specific piece of dialogue saying, "Here lies Link." Obviously, I think showing you that these are all designed off of Link. So from the White Mage shop, we're going to want Cura, which does a better set of healing to a character, and Diara, which is a multi-hit, which is a stronger version of Dia that we've used earlier, and then Heal is what Cura kind of becomes the later games, in that it's an amount of healing spaced out to the whole party as opposed to just one character. So we've got the inn here, which is a very long building as soon as you come in. There's also the weaponsmith down the bottom. There's 2 different White Mage and Black Mage shops in this town, of which I'll show you shortly. You should be able to see them as we come up to the top left here, just speaking to everybody, just to get people an overview of what the story is, if anybody mentions anything any of the NPCs do, or any specific characters we need to interact with or that we potentially skipped. So yeah, there's another White Mage shop here, as well as there's another Black Mage shop. These both sell tier 4 spells, but they're very expensive, so at the moment we won't pick them up because we'd only really be able to afford 1 spell as it stands anyway. But if you've got the money, feel free to grab Vox that heals you, or some of the Black Mage spells. Basically, just pick whatever you want. You shouldn't be pressed for them at the moment. But as for where we're going now, I would definitely recommend picking up some sleeping bags and some tents, and probably quite a few antidotes, because the area we're going to, your characters are probably likely to be poisoned. I didn't buy the antidotes, but I'm definitely going to end up having to come back and grab them later. In here, there's some more equipment we can buy. Copper armlets are the best way you can give defense to your mages, and the iron shield is the best way for us to block anything with our warrior, just to make him tank a lot more hits. But again, everything's going to add up to a lot of money by the time we buy 2 copper armlets for both our characters. Forgive me there, I was accidentally holding down the R2 trigger on my controller. But yes, comparing the leather cap and the helm just to see if the weight increase is worth the defense, but probably is, for a 3 and 3, worth taking. So we're definitely going to grab an iron shield. We can grab leather caps for everybody now, and we can grab a helm which only the warrior can wear. And then the copper armlets, although it's going to cost me a lot of my money, is something that definitely is one to consider. Just checking all the equipment we've currently got for the warrior and seeing what amendments it does. So obviously the evasion gets lowered by equipping armor as well, because you're more likely to survive the hits, so your ability to avoid them goes down. Once everybody's outfitted, you can sell equipment during the game if you want to. I don't really see much point, because the majority of what you sell, unless it's a unique weapon, will almost always be worth almost nothing, as you can see in this case. So yeah, I'm going to grab 2 copper armlets now, and then we can see what they actually look like when they're equipped onto the mages. But they do take in the armor slot. So I expected it to be the arm slot, but I completely forgot, and yeah, it's the clove slot. So it does increase their defense by double, and a minor increase in invasion, so it's always worth grabbing. So admittedly, I have not gone into the castle in this location yet, so some of the plot hasn't been fully explained, which I'll cover after shopping in here. So again, Iron Nunchaku, an improvement for the monk, but based on the way the monk's set up, I'm just going to keep him unarmed for the time being, and then just a weapon increase for our white mage and black mage here, just so that their physical attacks do a little bit more damage. Better for the black mage than the white mage as it stands currently. We're just going to heal up for all the grinding we've been doing outside, just so we're at full health. So now that we're all set and raring to go, we can go and check out the next area. So I should visit the castle, but we can end up doing that once we've got all the components we need. The area we're going to head to is the southwest of this location. We're looking for a little dungeon, but there's also some enemies we're going to be looking for in this area. 3 more if memory serves, and I'm hoping to encounter them quite quickly. So the first encounter wasn't one of the ones we need, so we're going to continue exploring. But there's only one way through the mountains, which is going to be on our left. You may end up needing to use quite a few potions as we're going through this area, because you will continuously get fixed encounter after fixed encounter. Through the mountain way here, we can go either south or north, and this is one of the enemies we're looking for, the Tarantula. So it's a bit of an improvement over the Black Widow that we previously fought down in Chaos Shrine. I say down in Chaos Shrine, up in Chaos Shrine. But much more likely to inflict poison and has about 60 health. So this is why you're going to start running through antidotes, because almost every time you take a hit, your character's got a high chance of being poisoned. I don't know the exact amount, but one way or another it will be, you will notice that you're getting poisoned over and over. And as you may have seen before, the inn doesn't cure poison. You have to have antidotes or a way of cancelling it. So there are some spells you can learn on the white mage to cover that later. So now we're just looking around for another set of enemies, and the Cobra is another one we're looking for. Again, something that can poison you, but is quite easy to take out. They have about 40-50 health, so just need to hit them with your physical attackers and they should go down. So now there's just one more enemy we're looking for. So go back to the inn, heal up, and this is where I end up remembering that the inn does not restore poison. So I end up having to waste an antidote here on healing myself up. So back out and over, then we found the last enemy we were looking for, the Ogre Chief. So it has about 40 extra health than the Ogre originally, so it's about, I think it's about 140, but the defense it has is a lot tougher. So while the monk and the warrior could end up doing like 80s and 90 damages to the Ogre Chief, we won't do anywhere close to that as it stands with their attacks unless we multi-hit that much. But it hits a bit harder, but again, as long as everybody kind of targets the warrior, we shrug everything off and just easily win these fights. So just need to clean them up now. Done enough damage that both the white mage and black mage should potentially be able to finish it off. But we don't need to, and a 4-hit combo from the monk is enough to finish off that fight. So I believe that's everything we're looking for in this area, although there may be one more which I'll need to check. Which I think, thinking about it, there is one more. We're looking for an undead enemy. So we're going to be investigating for that one. I'm just checking the bestiary now to confirm, and yes, we are missing exactly one before we go inside the dungeon down the bottom. So just going to be trying to encounter, and there it is. So the Ghast is the last one we want. Pretty easy to take out, but just to show it off, I'll use Diara. From the bits I cut away from, you can see Daewoo got knocked out, just been doing that many fights and the amount of poison. But Diara does a massive hit to undead and easily wins us the fight. And as you can see there, we suffered glaze from a couple of attacks from those same Ghasts. So all the way back, we need to resurrect Daewoo and then heal up, and then we're ready to go to the dungeon that we're heading towards. Costs a lot more this time. I believe it was 200, although I ran through that quite quickly. But nothing you shouldn't be able to afford. One encounter in this area, maybe two, should cover all of the costs you need for that. So once we've finished healing up, we're going to head back outside, and I'm going to make a quick save. And then next part, we're going to proceed over to the Marsh Cave and complete that bit of the dungeon, and proceed with saving the elves, which is the storyline we're currently doing, which is going to have us end up moving around area to area quite a bit upon completing that dungeon. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and that I'll catch you again on the next part. Goodbye.